What up, food friends? Hope you're all doing amazing today. Coming back with another recipe in our ongoing battle against ultra processed foods. Today, I'm going to make a chuck roast chili, and I'm dedicating this to my father who passed away 13 years ago. We made this chili every weekend before Christmas. It was just sort of a tradition. I'm also dedicating this to my buddy Pat at work. He asked for this recipe, and he was also the first person to sign up on this YouTube channel. So let's get going, everybody. Let's make this chuck roast chili. First, as always, we need to prep and get ready. So first we're going to dice up our onion pretty small. I'm just using half an onion, no large chunks. We want this to dissolve in our gravy as it cooks anyways. We're also going to crush and chop up some garlic. I've got about 4 cloves, but you can go more or less. It's going to vary based on the size of your cloves anyways. We're also going to fine chop up some cilantro. You can use parsley if you don't like cilantro, but it's going to change the flavor of the dish. I'm fine chopping these top stems and everything down since it's all going to break down as it cooks. Then we're going to prep and season our chuck roast. My father would do this as bite-sized pieces and make it like a stew. I'm just going to remove the large pieces of fat and connective tissue and braise this as a few large pieces. I'm going to let it fall apart as it cooks. Once we have our meat trimmed, I'm just going to add some pepper and salt, and then a dusting of cumin and dark chili powder, just a teaspoon maybe of each, a teaspoon or two, and you just want to get this all coated and mixed up. Now that we're prepped, we're going to brown and sear our chili meat first. I've got my pot on medium high and I'm adding just a couple tablespoons of oil. I'm using corn oil so that it doesn't lend any flavor. And we're just going to do this a few pieces at a time so that we're not crowding our pot. We want this to sear, not boil or steam from being too crowded. I'm doing all of this meat in 2 batches. I want to make sure this gets a good color all the way around. Once we have our meat seared, we're just going to remove each piece one at a time, and we're going to move it over to a different plate so that we can start making our braising gravy. Once our meat is seared, we want to lower our temperature to about medium. I'm moving this to about 3.5 or 4 out of 10 on my burner. And we're going to add in our onions, our garlic, and our cilantro, and we're going to let this all start to cook down, moving it around every now and then. Once it starts to sweat and starts to cook, we're going to add in 2 4-ounce cans of green chilies, and we're going to let that cook with our onions, garlic, and cilantro. After this cooks a few minutes more, we're going to add in our spices. First, I'm adding in about a tablespoon of oregano, then about a tablespoon and a half of cumin, and about 6 or 7 big tablespoons of dark chili powder. We're going to stir this all up and we're going to let this cook for about 5 minutes more. And we want to move this around every now and then so that it doesn't burn. Once we've cooked this a little longer, we can start adding in our liquids. I'm adding in 1 small can of diced tomatoes, water and all. I'm also adding in a large can of crushed tomatoes. If you want to use all crushed, that's fine. This is just a personal preference. I like to have a little diced tomato in there. And then we're going to let this all come back up to heat. I also forgot to season with a little salt and pepper earlier, so I'm hitting that in there now. Make sure we get a little salt and pepper in there. And then we're going to add in all of our meat. We want to make sure it's all covered, get it all nice and buried in there, and don't leave out the drippings either. That's all flavor. We want all of it. Once we get it back up to our simmering heat, we want to cover this and lower the temperature on the stove. I've got this at about 2, maybe 1.5 or 2 out of 10. And we're going to leave this covered and simmered for about 2 hours. You are going to want to open this up every 30 minutes or so and give it a stir, scrape the bottom. This is tomatoes. They will stick. They'll burn on the bottom, so you just want to give it a good stir. And also scrape the sides of your pot because you always want to get all that flavor back into your chili. After about 2 hours of simmering this and checking on it and stirring it, we're going to uncover it. And we're going to go about 2 hours more uncovered. You're going to want to keep stirring this just like before. You may need to increase your heat a little bit at this point. Just want to get this simmering but uncovered this time. We want to let some of this water boil off and evaporate. It's going to hit a point eventually where the meat is soft, but it's not quite falling apart yet like this. But we don't want to force it. Just let it keep braising. Eventually, all of this is just going to fall apart. So now I've gone about 4 hours of total braising. 2 covered, to uncovered, making sure we stir every now and then so that nothing burns. And we can see that the gravy has gotten really thick and the meat is just falling apart as I stir this. I barely have to work at breaking this up anymore. It's all at the point where it's just going to fall apart. I sometimes have to use a fork to split up some of these larger pieces, but they're basically just falling apart on their own as I stir this. Once we've got our meat broken up and it's back up to heat, I'm going to add in about a cup and a half of frozen or fresh corn. We just like the taste of corn in our chili. It sort of adds a sweetness that isn't normally there. And then we're also going to add in a can of drained black and drained kidney beans. And we're going to stir this around carefully. We don't want to break this up too much. Once it's well mixed and we've got it back up to heat, I'm just going to cover and let this finish for about 10 minutes. This is basically to cook the corn and to get the beans up to heat. After 10 minutes or so, we're ready to serve this. And now we can serve this up. You can see how thick and meaty it is. I'm using a wooden spoon and nothing is falling off. Just going to fill my bowl up. Then I'm going to garnish with some nice extra sharp cheddar cheese, some finely diced onion if you like. This is totally optional, and a little bit of cilantro on top. And now I'm going to go sit on the couch and eat this. Thanks as always for your time. If you enjoyed this chuck roast chili recipe, here's some more recipes I know you're going to love. Please like, comment, and subscribe. It helps get all my videos and recipes out to the world. It really means a lot. It means more than you all will ever know. Keep eating healthy. Be well, everyone. Peace.